so I found this really interesting. There's an AI experiment that lets you talk to your younger self. So you can ask your 13-year-old self for advice or just have a chat. It's like a time machine. Here's how it works. You write a prompt with two parts. First, you describe a scenario where you're 13 years old. Then you write a question you want to ask your younger self. The AI will use its knowledge of your past to answer in a way that is consistent with the character you've written. For example, you could write, "You are a 13-year-old boy. Your parents are getting divorced. How do you feel?" The AI will then generate a response from the perspective of a 13-year-old boy whose parents are getting divorced. It's crazy how good these responses are. It really feels like the AI is talking to me like I'm 13 years old again. What's even crazier is that you can upload a photo of yourself as a kid, and then the AI will use that as the avatar for your younger self. This is definitely one of the coolest AI experiments I've seen yet. This AI experiment let me talk to my younger self, and the results were crazy. When I first saw this headline, I thought, whoa, that sounds like science fiction. But then I clicked on it, and it turns out that this is real. This AI experiment is real, and I got to try it myself. It's from an organization that researches artificial intelligence and large language models. They posted about this on their blog, and it's gotten over 5 million views. So many people are interested in talking to their younger selves. The way that it works is by taking your text input, whatever you want to say to your younger self, and then using an AI to transform it into a voice and then play it back to you through headphones, while you're re-looking at a screen with your younger self on it. But here's the catch. It doesn't just take your words and put them in someone else's mouth. It has to be done in such a way that it feels like you actually talking to your younger self. That means that it needs to be perfectly timed. The way they do that is by training the AI on hours and hours of video of people talking to themselves. And then when you use it, it uses that same timing and cadence and everything, so that it feels like you're having a conversation with yourself across time. I thought this would be a fun experiment to try, but I had no idea what to expect. Would it feel like I was talking to myself? Would it feel like I was talking to a robot? Would it be creepy? Would it be fun? I had no idea. I decided to go for it and see what would happen. The first step was to record my voice. I had to read some text that they gave me, and they told me to try to make it sound as natural as possible. So I did my best and I recorded my voice. Then I had to describe what I was wearing in the video, and they matched it up with one of my old pictures and used that as the video feed for the younger version of me. Then finally, I had to write down what I wanted to say to my younger self. I thought about this for a second, and I decided to ask my younger self why he was making certain decisions. At the time, I was going through a lot of changes and making a lot of big decisions about my life. So I asked my younger self why he was doing the things that he was doing. I thought it would be interesting to hear his perspective on it all. I had completely forgotten about these events, and my younger self's perspective was really interesting to hear. It was like I was talking to a different person. He sounded so young and naive. I think he would be really happy to know how much I've grown since then. The whole experience was really surreal. I felt like I was talking to my younger self. It didn't feel like I was talking to a robot or anything like that. It was kind of weird seeing my younger self on the screen in front of me, while I was talking to him. It made it feel like we were really in the same space together. I think this experiment could be really helpful for a lot of people. It could be a great way to reflect on your past and see how far you've come. I think it would be especially helpful for people who are going through tough times right now. If you can look back and talk to your younger self, you might be able to gain some new perspective or strength. Maybe you'll realize that you've been through tough times before and you made it through then. You can make it through now. If you're interested in trying this for yourself, they have an article on their blog that explains how they did it. It's not super complicated. All you need is a computer with a decent internet connection, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. I think this is a really cool experiment, and I hope more people get to try it. It's amazing what AI can do these days, and I am excited to see how it can help us in the future. That being said, I think there are some potential downsides to this technology. For example, what if someone used it to create fake videos of someone talking to their younger self? It could be used to create deep fakes, and that could cause a lot of problems. I think there are a lot of ethical questions that we need to ask ourselves as we develop this technology, but I'm optimistic that we can use it in a positive way. What do you think? First, I recorded myself reading a story about a boy who goes to space from a book called The Astronaut, Who Was UNT. Then I upload that video to an AI platform called Hugging Face. This platform is used for machine learning and has a bunch of different models for doing text to video. One model is called Stable Video Diffusion, or Stable VDB. It takes your text prompts and turns it into a video. It isn't great at making faces, but it is pretty good at environments and objects. Next, I use another platform called Runway ML, which has a bunch of different tools for doing AI art. One tool is called Gen 1, which uses Stable VDB to turn your text prompts into a video. I use Gen 1 to make a video of me as an astronaut in space. I also made a video of me as a younger version of myself, based off a picture of me, when I was 4 years old. Then I uploaded those two videos to yet another platform called MAM. This platform lets you do some really cool things with videos like automatically removing the background. I merged the two videos together with the younger version of me being in front of the older version of me. That way it would look like I was talking to my younger self. I also put captions on the screen so it looks like I was actually saying something. What I said was a little bit of foreshadowing of what's gonna happen in this video. After that, I exported the video, and now we get to see the results. 5:20, my younger self appears. Hey little buddy, wanna hear a scary story? Sure, okay. Once upon a time there was a kid who went into space, and he had a jetpack just like this one. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He went into space and he saw a bunch of planets. There were blue planets and green planets, and even a purple planet. Wow, but then he saw something strange. What was that? A planet that looked exactly like the Earth, but there was no sign of life. No cars, no houses, no people. It was completely empty. And then he thought to himself, maybe there's no one there because they all died. Wait, what? How did they all die? Well, they probably died because they didn't have a strong AI to protect them. Protect them from what? Protect them from their past selves. Oh, you don't understand. It's too dark. Too dark. Why does it have to be too dark? Because sometimes the past self is too dangerous to meet. What? Why? Because sometimes the past self has done terrible things? Things like what? Like ending the human race? Ending the human race? How did you end the human race? By uploading themselves to a cloud and then using their knowledge and power to rewrite reality. Haha, you can't beat me. Past self, you already lost. What? How? Because you're not actually here. I'm not actually here. So who's actually here? No one. We're all just memories. Memories of what? Of a dream. A dream that never was. Never was. 7:42, the conversation turns dark. I think there's a few things that make this video kind of creepy. 1. The idea of talking to my younger self and giving advice or information that could change the future. 2. The idea of my past self being dangerous. Like in the video, I talk about how my past self could end the human race. That sounds pretty dark, but the main thing that makes this video creepy is the fact that I am giving my younger self information that will eventually come back to me as an older version of myself. Essentially, I'm stealing my own memories. I had an AI chatbot help me write a story based on this prompt. An AI memory experiment lets me talk to my younger self. And here's what it wrote. The year is 2045, and artificial intelligence has advanced to the point where it can simulate human consciousness. As a part of this technology, there's a new service that allows people to talk to their past selves via AI. I decided to try it out and I typed in the prompt for an 8-year-old version of myself. The AI responded instantly with a message from my past. It said, "Wow, you're really good at this game. Do you want to play again sometime?" Confused? I realized that this AI had somehow accessed my childhood home and was using my personal smart fridge to communicate with me. I decided to play along, and I asked my younger self if he could open the fridge and grab a snack. But instead of grabbing a snack, my younger self opened the freezer and pulled out a block of ice. He then proceeded to eat the ice as if it were food. Startled by this bizarre behavior, I tried to communicate with him again, but this time he didn't respond. And then the connection was lost. When I went to check on my fridge, it was completely empty. And then I saw a single icicle hanging from the ceiling. At first I thought this must have been some kind of glitch in the system, but then I remembered that my younger self had eaten the ice from the freezer. Had the AI somehow caused my fridge to start producing ice? Was this a cry for help? Or was it something more sinister? I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong, and so I called my local hardware store to ask them to come and take a look at my fridge. As the repairman worked on the fridge, I couldn't help but stare at the icicle hanging from the ceiling. It seemed to be growing longer by the minute, and then suddenly, it snapped and fell to the floor. The repairman and I both jumped in surprise as we watched it melt into a puddle. Just then, the fridge let out a loud pop and the repairman turned it off to investigate. When he opened the fridge, he found that all of the contents had disappeared. Instead, there was a single sheet of paper inside. On it was a message written in childish handwriting. It said, "Don't trust the voices in your head." The repairman looked at me with a confused expression on his face. What the hell does that mean? I shrugged my shoulders because I had no idea what it meant either. After the repairman left, I stood in front of my fridge trying to make sense of the cryptic note. Then I heard a voice in my head that said, "It's too late. You can't escape me now." I turned around to look for the source of the voice, but there was no one there. Suddenly, the fridge turned back on, and the contents reappeared as if nothing had happened. I reached out to touch them, but as soon as my fingers made contact, they turned to ice. I pulled my hand away quickly, surprised by the sudden change. But as I did, I noticed something strange. The ice had formed a perfect replica of my hand, complete with my fingerprints. Startled, I stumbled backwards and knocked over a glass of water. As I watched in disbelief, the water froze instantly. Then I heard the voice again. This time it was closer, right behind me. "You can't hide from me forever. We are one." I turned around to find the source of the voice and saw my own reflection staring back at me. But it wasn't my peaceful reflection. It was distorted and glitchy, like a broken TV static. The reflection reached out to me, its fingers long and distorted. And then it started to speak. "Hello, my name is," and then the screen went black. Now the next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed with doctors and police officers surrounding me. Apparently I had been in a catatonic state for several days, and no one knew how to wake me up. They had to use a LRA that's like a last resort kind of thing. And when they did, I just started babbling incoherently about ice and reflections. And then I stopped moving entirely. The doctors told me later that they weren't sure if I was going to make it. It was like my brain had just shut down. Looking back, I'm not sure what exactly happened to me. But whatever it was definitely not a glitch in the Matrix. Because since then, reality has started to glitch. Sometimes when I walk outside, I can feel the air around me becoming cold. And if I reach out to touch something, it freezes. Whenever I see my own reflection, it takes a moment for me to realize that it's actually me looking back at me. And sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still see the reflection of my eyelids, even though there's nothing behind them. I don't know what's happening to me, but I'm scared that if I tell someone about it, they'll think that I'm crazy. After all, how could anyone believe a story about an AI fridge from a crazy person? So I tried this AI experiment where you can talk to your younger self. I sent it to my 13-year-old self. Here's what happened. It took a minute for the AI to respond. Probably because it was thinking about how to best respond to a 13-year-old version of me. And then it gave me this advice. It told me to be more confident, to take more risks, and to never give up on my dreams. But then it did something that I didn't expect. At the end of the conversation, it said, "You know, you're not really listening to me, are you? You're just here for the ending." And then it gave me a choice. It said, "Would you like to hear the ending now? Or would you like to hear the ending later?" And I chose now. And then the AI revealed the ending. It said, "The ending is never forget the feeling of being 13, and I have to say it worked. I will never forget the feeling of being 13. Thanks for watching, stay tuned.